Hi. Hello.
How am I?
There you are. Oh my God, you're in the car.
It's LA. I'm always in a car.
Oh my goodness, so lovely to speak to you, and thanks so much for.
So this is Sally?
It's Sally. Sorry, yes, Sally and Shivam.
Shivam, nice to meet you guys.
Yes.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, good.
Well, I think for me, what shaped it was the fact that I was a doctor coming into this. And so as someone who had a medical background, the symptoms occurred over about 1.5 years before I was diagnosed. And again, having an MD, my dad's a doctor, my friends are doctors, I had health insurance, I had access to any sort of treatment information you could hope for. It still took 1.5 years for me to get the diagnosis, during which time my body, I really fell apart. I gained about 45 to 50 pounds during that time because I stopped working out because of the pain that was spreading from my hands to my feet, to my neck, to my body, the fatigue that was going on. And it was just, it impacted me so much physically and then emotionally that once I was diagnosed, it really, for me, it was a sense of relief when I was told I had rheumatoid arthritis. And people find that hard to believe. I think, when you're told you have a chronic autoimmune disease for which there is no cure, so many people think of it being devastating. But the reality was, it was much harder for me dealing with these physical and emotional problems that were plaguing me without knowing what was causing it and feeling like there's no hope when you don't know what's causing it. When you don't know why it's going on, you feel like, you're going into the caregivers and they're like, they keep saying, we can't find anything wrong. Yeah. And, to a certain extent, you kind of internalize that as, there's nothing wrong with you, suck it up, you're fine. Yeah. And yet, something is wrong. And so when I was told I had rheumatoid arthritis, I remember feeling like, now I know what I'm fighting against. But then I was struck how, even as a doctor and someone who'd studied the disease, as I looked around and, started looking on the internet, I realized the problem is when you search for something, you tend to see the worst case scenario. And I didn't know anyone who had RA, or at least I didn't know anyone who talked about having RA. And so, again, I'm talking to doctors, I'm talking to rheumatologists, and I'm talking to my dad, and, they're telling you the statistics and the treatment options. But for me, I realized it was hard to have a conversation with someone about what to expect and what it really was like living with this disease. I don't know. I mean, again, for me, I think for having been a doctor and never, realizing that disease doesn't know any prejudice or any story, that, disease strikes everyone in some form or another. Everyone knows someone who, we're all going to be impacted by disease, either ourselves or loved ones. We are. We don't really know the origins of a lot of these autoimmune diseases in many cases. And for me, it looked like my parents genetically may have given us a predisposition to it. So to feel ashamed about something that I had no control over, or to think that people would think differently of me, that never really entered into my mind. I can understand that, if you're, I don't know, selling the illusion of being an action star, but even then I feel like, well, how much more badass am I doing what I'm doing with rheumatoid arthritis?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I also get people who aren't comfortable talking about their disease, or feeling like I don't want people to think of me differently, or to look at me as though I need help, or for work to say we don't want to bring someone on because we think that they'll be a burden, not realizing that for a lot of people with RA, like, again, I'll work 14-hour days. I'm active. There's nothing I've been asked to do in my career that I haven't been able to do because of my disease. I want people to get that message that this isn't a disease that necessarily means your life is going to be limited. It may be different, but it doesn't have to be limited. For me, my family's in Colorado and I was in Hollywood, and my support system really was stand-up comedy, was what I was really using to cope with the disease day to day. And the physical difficulties, as I felt my body deteriorating, the thing that kept me going was getting on stage, telling jokes, making people laugh, being around other people who were making me laugh, And I felt that that was the thing that probably emotionally allowed me to deal with it. Because that year and a half before I was diagnosed was devastating, was physically and emotionally the hardest thing I've been through. So I'm on immune system modifier. I'm on Remicade and methotrexate, which is what I was on initially from the day I was diagnosed. I started that treatment, and I've been responding to it, and it's worked well. I don't know if I can blame the methotrexate for that. There are certainly some moments, but again, like I host, with American Ninja Warrior, I'll be talking for 12 to 14 hours while we're shooting the show. I do stand-up comedy where I'm on, speaking for an hour at a time, entertaining a room. So I feel mentally I'm sharper than ever. So I haven't noticed any brain fog, but talk to my friends, talk to my family, they may see like this guy, he has no idea what's going on, but I think I'm very sharp. Yeah, it did. Because of the changes in my feet, I ended up, I couldn't jog, couldn't play basketball. I can't do high-impact sports because of my feet, because I had some erosive changes in the feet. I actually just had surgery. I'm in a boot right now because of some of the damage to the foot. So I went from, lifting weights, playing basketball, and jogging more to Pilates and swimming and yoga. You can still work out. You can always do something. And you find that particularly when you're battling a physically challenging disease, I think exercise and activity becomes more important. Now, finding whatever it is you can do, be it standing in a pool and moving your arms, whatever it is, I truly believe that the more active you are, the better you'll be able to combat your disease. So there were some small changes, but as I look at it, since I've gotten the disease, I've been busier than I've ever been career-wise, and this has never impacted it, be it working on 3 or 4 shows at a time. And sometimes we'll go, in Las Vegas, we'll shoot for 6 straight nights for 12 hours a night from sunset to sunrise. And I'm there every minute, and I'm ready to go, and my energy's up. And so I feel like career-wise, it hasn't slowed me down at all. Never let this disease define you. And you may feel it's placing limitations on your life, but to try things, to try being active, to try doing something you think you can't do. I'm not saying it's running a marathon. Maybe it is just getting in the pool, or maybe it is trying stand-up comedy, or doing something you think you can't do. My thing is, I think when you push yourself and try things, you'll be surprised. When you don't put limitations on yourself, you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish. And I think to tell people that go seize life. If anything, let your struggles with this disease be a wake-up call as to how precious life is and health is. And to cherish, instead of focusing on what you can't do, focus on what you can do. It's the thing of taking care of yourself first, and to know when you can't do something, it's okay. That's okay to take time for yourself, and rather than to punish yourself or to try to put too much on your plate, to just be okay saying no to things. For me, again, I find that the more active I keep my body, the better my body feels. I think when you're feeling well, it's taking care of yourself, and that means good sleep, rest, hydration. But also trying to find things that energize you, be it physical fitness or, for me, again, when I'm feeling run down and fatigued, sometimes a nap is great, but what's also great is finding something that energizes you. Yeah. So, finding a great song, finding a show, for me, finding something that makes me laugh, finding those things that give you energy, I think, and kind of having those in reserve and knowing how to use them. But it's ultimately, it's being okay placing yourself first. And, again, I don't have kids. I know as I talk to a lot of people, particularly mothers, it's a real challenge for them, and having to get their kids to understand that there are times when mom needs a break. And to be okay asking for that, and to ask for support from the kids, from your loved ones. which again, that's something I haven't had to deal with. But that's what's great about social media is you can find people who are going through what you're going through and asking for help and asking for tips and solutions and realizing you're not in this alone. Even if you're in Siberia, with the internet, you can find hundreds, if not thousands of people who are going through what you're going through and who can share their tips. And I think when you're at your lowest, often finding people who are feeling the same way or felt the same way can also, make you not feel so alone and give you that energy. So one of the guys I'm on the show with, Chael Sonnen, who's a UFC or mixed martial arts fighter, he has a fight. So we're going to go to his fight. Amazing. And then that's Saturday. And then Sunday, for my actual birthday, I think probably just have cake. have some cake. And I don't know, let my girlfriend, whatever she plans, she's very good at putting together special days.